Hello, everyone. It's 𝗨𝙗𝗄𝗂 with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, and I'm super excited to be joined by two amazing gentlemen, Rob Potter, who's been on the show before, and Raymond Andrew Keller II. So, hello, everyone. It's 𝗨𝙗𝗄𝗂. Got a nice little long name there, but he has written some amazing books on Venus. We're going to talk about Venus. He's had experiences on Venus, so you guys are in for a little trip here. It's going to be fun. All right. So Rob, you wanna take over a little bit and introduce a little stuff?
Sure, it's my honor and pleasure to be on your show again, Michael. It was nice to have you up here. We had our laser show, and for you to join me in my house, it was pretty cool. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to take you. I took you out on a wild journey, showing the Black Sun information of the government infiltration of the Fourth Reich and kind of that stuff. And this time I'm going to take you into the celestial realms of the hierarchy of light. Oh, and that reminds me, so I'm going to be sharing quite a few stuff. So folks, you can go back to this video and pause some of these images and look over this stuff. So I'm going to go pretty quick, but Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller III is an amazing contactee. He is one of the most profound researchers. He's become my best friend and my mentor, my guide, and he has some very high-level spiritual experiences. And there's going to be a lot of disinformation. A lot of people are not probably going to believe a lot of this stuff. That's okay. Time will reveal the truth. So first of all, I thought I would share some stuff here, and I wanted to share right off the bat. I think I want to share. Let's see. I wanted to share. Where can I get it? Here it is. Okay. So this one, this is actually the recording that he has. But the first thing I wanted to share was the website where you can get Raymond's books. If you're interested later, Raymond is a humble man. He works very hard. And if you go into shop under books, the link is on the page there, and Raymond actually has all of his books here. For those of you internationally, you want to buy these online, but Raymond's, he has 5 books: Venus Rising, Rockets to Venus, Cosmic Ray's Excellent Adventure, about a time travel experience. He went back to 1954. The Vast Venus Conspiracy, talking about the government's cover-up of the Silence Group. And then his wonderful new book, Lady Columba Venus Revelations. And we're going to share some information about that woman and how everything took place there in the past. So
you're going to want all 5 of them, I guarantee you.
Yeah, there are amazing stuff, and I'm going to get you into some of the very interesting stuff that has Raymond has done. One of the things he did for me was, I'd had many contacts with Venusians that they confirmed after my meeting with Raymond that they didn't introduce themselves for many reasons. But he did arrange a meeting for me with a Venusian commander, and I was actually able to record their message and giving a message. Some people have reacted to it because it mentions the spiritual nature of Christ, and that's a spiritual aspect, and much of their information is quite spiritual. So Raymond Keller has been quite the researcher throughout his life, and he's in the middle of another book, and he's sending some articles, but he has so much tremendous information about Venusians. I'm going to share the picture of the commander and Raymond when we met, when they took this woman. She's wearing a raspberry beret. And for those of you who follow Prince, I'm almost positive he had a contact with the Venusians, because he wrote a song about it, and the fact that he changed his name to a symbol, which was a symbol that they use on Venus. And so they contact musicians and scientists. They're amongst us. There's over 5,000 of them living on the earth in various capacities as dual citizens. Some of them take the mission to live here and to age and to go on, live in the earth environment. But this woman occasionally comes to earth as a dual citizen on various missions. And I'm going to stop that screen share. But her missions have been... Go ahead.
Let's let our our guest introduce himself a little bit and talk a little bit about his background, and then we'll let you run again.
Oh, okay, go ahead, Kaz.
Okay, thank you, Mr. 𝗂𝗂. Thank you, Rob. I'm Dr. Raymond Andrew Keller. Some people call me the Cosmic Ray. I've been writing and researching about UFOs and paranormal phenomena and events since the mid-1960s. There were articles about me in the National Enquirer and Raymond Palmer's Flying Saucers magazine. I published a UFO newsletter as a teenager, and throughout my life, I continued to write and publish articles. I do a weekly series of articles on contactees and various aspects of the interdimensionality of flying saucers and so forth, on Lon Strickler's Phantoms and Monsters website. That you could check out. I graduated from West Virginia University with my doctorate in 2013, researching various aspects of Basque culture and Afro-Zulian culture in Venezuela, Caribbean, and the Afro-Caribbean. And have published so far 5 books about the mysteries of the planet Venus.
Incredible, incredible. Raymond, I have one question before we move on. Your connection to Venus, and we'll find this, and we'll go into it deeper. Why do you think you were chosen to have this connection with the Venusians?
I believe that I do have a long-standing connection from past lives as well, and also from my youth. The article that appears in my second book, "Rockets to Venus," has that article from the National Enquirer, and I'm holding up a picture of a typical flying saucer, and it was hovering over a railroad trestle in Walton Hills, Ohio, southeast of Cleveland. And I believe that people who see UFOs and experience contacts, that have metaphysical experiences in their life, various synchronicities, that they have a definite starseed connection. And I explore that in my research and in my books, beginning on page 252 in the there we go, beginning on page 252 in the Venus Rising, in the first book. It explains various it asks you various questions and goes over different categories to see what your starseed connection is. So I do believe that there are literally millions. George Van Tassel pointed that out in his early writings. He was in contact with from August 24th, 1953 forward, with an entity from Venus named Solganda, who instructed him on how to build the Integratron. But in the very first flying saucer convention, interplanetary spaceship convention out at Giant Rock in 1954, he said that there were literally millions of people that had connections with various extraterrestrials, and particularly the Venusians, since we are, after all, the nearest neighbor to Venus. Venus is only 26 million miles at its closest approach to the Earth.
Excellent. All right, thanks for introducing. What I'm just going to be like fascinated the whole time, because I feel I have a very close connection with Venus as well. So, Rob, you want to come back in and share some more information? Then we'll keep rolling on this. I think this is going to have to be like several shows. I'm seeing
it's going to have to be. I'm really glad that you're open to that because Raymond's he's a very humble gentleman, and he doesn't like to toot his own horn. He keeps saying that, and I say, cause people need to know the level of a close association that he has. So that's what I'm kind of for, is to kind of let people know, because I've read through his books, and he hides a lot of information, his experiences in his books. And basically what happened was the ultimate thing was he met a gentleman named Gabriel Green, who I had experiences and taught me a lot about the Venusians, and I was having meetings with them, or I actually saw them. They came into a store. I met them in a sense. They looked at me. They knew I knew who they were, and at Gabriel Green's house. And Raymond Andrew Keller also, when he went to Gabriel Green, he met this woman right here. She is now currently the Queen of Venus. Her name is 𝗨𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, and they have a matriarchal society. And this picture was taken in 1954, and Gabriel Green talked to her, but he didn't. He was pretty sure he may have had other experiences. He keeps a lot of stuff under wraps, even to me, because of certain reasons. Now, realize
it's interesting how they're so beautiful, and throughout time, through history, through art, the Venetian women have been, as we saw with back in Renaissance times, where we had the birth of Venus. That was every time they do statuary Venus, it's all like the Greeks, the Romans, they always thought the Venus was like beautiful. So it's kind of interesting to see these beautiful women, and it kind of connects with those throughout time.
Absolutely, and they're quite long lived. Now, the woman that you saw earlier, and realize, look, if I want to mention this because a lot of people deny because they look just like us. They absolutely do, and if witness protection can create a false identity, and the governments can give false passports to people and create false identities, certainly the Venusians can create a false identity, and they live very long periods of time. So this next picture is a picture of the woman that I met. She looks a little different here. Let's see. Are you seeing Commander Raines there?
She's in the bottom one.
Yeah, I want to see this here. Maybe here we go. There we go. So there's a picture of Commander Raines. This is at one of the Giant Rock conventions. So they changed their look a little bit, and of course she's 70 years older in that picture. Now, another thing I'll share with you is another picture of her around that time period. And one of the things I'm skeptical too. When I met them, I was like, she just looked really different. I wasn't sure, and I don't doubt Raymond, but there's my own apperception. I even did a stupid thing. I kind of tested them to see if she was telepathic. She didn't react. I was kind of just wanted to see if that was happening, but she was way beyond me. And her legs were very unique. She has quite muscular legs. So in the image that when I saw her, I go, wow, that is the girl, because I could tell her legs. And I was pretty giddy in the interview there. But so Raymond, I'll give you the story real quick here. That woman was actually born on the Earth in 1585. That's a long story. You'll have to go into Cosmic Way's excellent adventure. And she became a dual citizen and was taken to Venus. It's a very spiritual planet with a lot of information. And most people, if you follow the old school contactees back in the day, this is one of the most famous contactees. His name was George Adamski. And he had a first contact in the desert with a being called Orthon, but her real name was Lady Orda. And because she had spent so much time on the earth, she was chosen, and she said, "Tell them I'm a man, because your people, our psychologists feel your people can't accept a woman in a position of responsibility." So this is actually the first modern day contact of extraterrestrials. And the date that I met them, they arranged the date. They actually postponed the time an hour so that it would actually be the 67th anniversary of George Adamski's first contact in the desert. So that woman took Raymond to Venus. And he doesn't like to talk about this, but I want to share this experience. He was teaching in Wuxi, China. He walked into a bar for a beer. It's called the Venus Bar. It was actually a stripper bar, but in the day, the stripping hadn't started yet. And he was having a beer, and the Venus ball dropped down from the ceiling, and some smoke came out. And walking through the smoke was this woman he had met when he was quite young, with 18 years old, with Raymond Keller. And she spoke with him, and she said, she goes, "I'm kind of hungry, Raymond." And she goes, "Good to see you," and all this stuff. And she says, so he got her vegetarian pizza, and she says, "I'm in my etheric double right now. There's another, my other part is acting as a translator for the Brazilian Space Agency at the Lochner base in China." She walked him home. She said, "Would you like to go to an ascension party?" And Raymond's eyes light up probably, and he says, "Oh, wow." He goes, "Is that man going to Venus?" She said, "Step on down, cause you're going to Venus." So the next day, she goes to his house, and they go up onto the roof. They have a security device that is actually talked about kind of in the Harry Potter. It's called a Nimbus. It's a little device that activates, can make the person invisible, or can turn into a little transportation pod. And they started from the top of the roof when Wuxi, China, went to Tibet, to a lake. And on that lake, as they came in, they saw Valiant Thor's ship and a cigar-shaped mothership. And they went to Venus. They all got on board. There's some other things I won't talk about there, but he got to Venus, and they witnessed the ascension of the previous Queen of Venus, who was a Chinese saint named Lady Mizu. So at that point, they announced the new Queen of Venus was sitting next to Raymond. So long story short, she invites him to stay there for 2.5 months, and he went to speak to the regent of Venus, who we would know as the accidental apostle named Lorem Dismas, who died with Christ on the cross. And
Wow.
and
So let's
yeah,
jump into
I'll
that a
stop
little
now.
bit.
Yeah, okay.
Raymond, you want to talk about this? This is going to blow everybody away. It's going to be amazing.
Oh yes. Well, let's talk about that. Those older photos of her, and you saw the one with myself, and then with Rob, and she was wearing a wig. And of course, throughout her various incarnations, she's been a writer, and she is a fluent French speaker. This is one of the books that she wrote in the 1950s. This is a collection of her writing. She wrote for various science fiction magazines like Galaxy and No Worlds Beyond and so forth. And in the late 1970s, she continued, but she appeared as a young in her young 20s and living in Boise, Idaho, married with children, and continued to write under the same name, except she dropped the E and wrote some science fiction stories about flying saucers from Venus. And then, of course, there were people that critical and doubt that her manifestation in various aspects would continue like that. Yet this is one of her current books, and this is her with her natural colored hair. So you see, she looks very much like in the 1950s, and it's manifesting like a she said it's a 6-dimensional angel, an aspect of an angel. And then she writes in the last chapter about, well, throughout the book, she describes how we all go through a process of awakening to ultimately merge with our higher self, at which time we become an ascended master. And she describes this process in her book. And on page 97, she reveals that she is herself an ascended master. And it's called Spirit Blocker. And
Cause really, you're clear to release that now? That's pretty intense.
Well, people can look it up. I don't want to put too much of a spotlight. It's just that people out there, they doubt these things, and they post all kind of credulous remarks, and so I just wanted to clear that up for.
Yeah, that's good, Raymond, because
that up for the audience.
People are going to have negative comments. I get them all the time on my shows. I just ignore them. We have enough people that are awake and that want this information. We just have to get it to them and keep focused on that. And I think that going forward, that's the important thing.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Jaco. And then in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2, it says that we should always be kind to one another, for know ye not that ye entertain angels unawares. And then we see in Psalms 91 that the Lord God Almighty has dispatched angels among us to stand as sentinels and to stand guard over us. And there's all, speaking of that, there's also in this is Our Lady from that book, and this is the appearance of a sentinel angel. This is in Portland, Maine. It's this outer space store. They sell everything dealing with outer space. And then there's a reflection from the street of this being standing there like in a position of being levitated. Wow. And so these things are real. We have visitors among us, and despite what people say, it's real. It's real. It can't be denied.
I'd like to say one thing here. Raymond he diverted. I was talking about his meeting an ascended master on Venus, and he takes us back to the other Clarion moon-based commander with the dual life on Earth. But Raymond actually, one of the very cool things is that that girl, when I met her, she had served on the earth during the French and American Revolution, and the author of that book. And I said, how did you communicate with them? And they would appear in their chamber. Like Thomas Jefferson would come home from a horse ride, and they would be sitting there in his locked chamber, and they were teaching them things. And so I said, what did you teach the founding fathers? And liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice. And Benjamin Franklin was a member of the Masonic Lodge, the Venus Lodge. Now, at that point in time, the Masons weren't completely evil. They were infiltrated probably shortly after the Revolution. But the founding fathers were, that was kind of like their secret revolutionary meetings. And they started the Boston Tea Party. So Raymond's revealing the history of the communications in a very positive light. And,
oh my God. Yeah. So we have a lot of history here. Raymond, we were going to jump into Right to Venus, but maybe we should, like we talked about earlier, go into a little bit of the history. Now, the history that you talk about in Venus Rising, a concise history of the second planet, is absolutely incredible. I love history, and I love everything to do with history. And you, as we're talking right now, you're giving it a new spin where the Venetians are involved in our history, like Rob was just talking about. You want to go into a little bit of history, and then maybe we can jump off planet and start talking a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, sir. Well, the book Venus Rising, A Concise History of the Second Planet, was inspired by my study of theosophy. I'm a member of the Theosophical Society. And in 1885, Helena Blavatsky, the co-founder of that group, she was born in the Ukraine in 1831, and died later in the late 1890s in England. But she had traveled around the world, and she had made 2 trips to India, to the Himalayas. She didn't quite make it up past Nepal the first time, right on the border of Tibet, but she made it there the second time. And there she met with ascended masters and translated the Book of 𝙤𝙤 and got other esoteric information. When she came back, she wrote History of a Planet, which was all about Venus.
Wow.
That Venus as the morning star, the morning and the evening star, not only teaches, but it inspires. And that's what inspired me to write this book, because I got this doctoral degree in history, and I was very excited to write a history of a planet, following the footsteps of Helena Blavatsky 135 years later. And so as you read the book, you'll go through a study of Venus in its history and various aspects of not only theosophy, but astronomy, even astrology, metaphysics, UFO encounters, the message of the contactees, and the efforts of this world space agencies, particularly Russia, i.e. the former Soviet Union, the United States, the European Union with its Venus Express, and Japan with its Akatsuki probe, to explore the mysteries of Venus. And then I dig up from obscure journals in Russia and different countries the real facts about Venus. For example, NASA, and the acronym NASA, never a straight answer. They will try to they will try to tell you that Venus is too hot and everything, but they don't say that the very first probe that went there, the Mariner 2, only made from 71,000 miles out. It just made a brief scan with a radiometer on the limb of Venus, and so it was measuring electric heat in the ionosphere and not on the surface. And so when I look at various Russian scientists and their probe, they equipped it to be accommodating to even if they were to land underwater, and they measured like with their fourth Venera 4 space probe. They measured temperatures of 84 degrees Fahrenheit at the near a latitude about a quarter of the way down from the North Pole of Venus. And they also discovered evidence of vegetation. And just recently, the Venus probe that went there, it was the Parker probe. It was actually a solar probe, but it took a gravitational boost by orbiting around Venus, so it could get a push toward the sun. And it's already gone around Venus twice doing that. But while around Venus, it took pictures of the dark side of Venus that's supposed to be, the side away from the sun that is in that position for 119 days. But rather than see darkness, they saw amazing blinding light coming up from the clouds, and they also discovered from the Royal Astronomical Society in London, a scientist there discovered through her research the presence of phosphenes in the atmosphere of Venus, and these are only produced through various in the intestines of various mammals, and there they are and life forms, and there they are in abundance in the Venusian atmosphere. And this confirms one of the very important things that I wrote about in my Venus book, is the existence of a very sentient form of large bees that are the indigenous inhabitants of the planet Venus.
Oh, wow.
And,
So we have throughout time, we have the Romans, well, the Greeks, the Romans, Egyptians, even further back. Egyptians have bees, in all of their artwork. So that's fascinating. So we also have 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and Velikovsky, and you mentioned him in your book and how he was kind of right, but not perfectly right. Having Venus come from Jupiter, breaking off from Jupiter. What can you give us a little bit more insight where Venus came from? And it's like almost identical to the Earth in everything.
Oh yes. The thing about Venus is that it's 81% of the mass of the Earth, but it's the same size as the Earth. And this is because much of Venus is actually hollowed out. There's vast caverns. And as planetary conditions deteriorated on some parts of the planet, especially closer to the equator, the third dimensional or physical dimension of Venus went underground. And in the various books by Dr. Frank Stranges about the Valiant Thor incident, he also goes into this and describes that transition. And so we see Venus.
Let's halt right there for a little bit and let Rob come back in, because he is a Valiant Thor expert. Rob, you want to talk a little bit about Valiant Thor?
Yeah, well, sure. With my time with Dr. Frank Stranges, I learned many, many things. And then I've actually met Valiant Thor years ago. He had blocked me to the memory, but Dr. Frank Stranges enjoyed a very special relationship with the Venusians. In fact, I don't know, I won't say he's above Raymond, but not many people got to live there for 2 months. But Raymond has a lot of amazing experiences. But Dr. Frank worked with them in understanding. They would assess the world situation. They'd ask the Earth people what they thought they should do with various things. And it all has to do with raising the spiritual vibration of the planet. And Raymond's written so many great articles about the Venusians, and one of the things that Dr. Frank Stranges, being a minister, was quite spiritual. So this is one of the articles that's not going to go up, but if you look on my website here, I'll show you in a second, that Raymond has a full section here. But this is one of the things in one of his telepathic communications. Another gentleman who Raymond has researched, a famous guy, used to be called Michael X. His real name was Michael Barton, and they said to him, "The will of the Creator is eternally active in all of His creations. His will works through humankind and means the light within, that lighteth everyone that cometh into the world." And then further, the Venusian says, "The mystic purpose of all created human intelligence is to actively express love, which is the stabilizing power that harmonizes the impelling power of will. This brings about a balance in the primary law of the entire cosmos." So Valiant Thor came here on the mission. He was commissioned by actually Jesus the Christ, or Yeshua, one of the spiritual things. And Raymond has quite a bit of wonderful metaphysical knowledge breaking this down, because it's not about worshiping a person or a thing. It's about understanding the spiritual message that comes with that. So I don't know, you can take it from there, but Valiant Thor was asked to watch over the earth and to head the Venusian mission. And he works with a gentleman who took the photographs of Raymond and me with the Commander Rains. That gentleman is named Milan. He is 2,400 years old. And in my conversations and information that I've shared in my book, called My Friends from Venus, which is only a digital book, but you can see the recordings. He actually was a Zoroastrian beekeeper under the first emperor, Darius the Great, in Persia. And he now is the head of the security detachment. So there's a lot of stuff that, you know, we're going to have to expand our minds and learn about, kind of, you know, all that.
Bob, I wanted to add to what you said there, because one of the things that's astounding to the Venusians about a life on Earth is the endless laws and ordinances that we have here, as this lady Orta said. You know, when you have municipal, city, state, federal, international treaties, entanglements, on and on ad infinitum. This is abhorrent to the creator, who in his emissary to the earth, the bright and morning star, reflecting of the bright and morning star, none other than the Master Jesus, the Christ, said there's only two things we need to worry about here on earth, and that's being kind to our neighbor, loving our neighbor, and loving God. And so this was the message of Dr. Frank and in his ministry, Dr. Frank Stranges. It's the philosophy of the Venusians, and it's the message of the spiritual underlying principle of the Venus books. Of course, they do have a collective society, but it's by mutual agreement, and it's by consent, and it's not by coercion. It's like when you pick up your Bible and you read in the book of Acts, the second chapter, it shows how in a voluntary association, the apostles and the disciples came, and the followers of Jesus came together 40 days after the resurrection, the Pentecost and everything, and they formed communities where they shared everything in common. So it wasn't like communism in the old Soviet Union or or Cuba, where they browbeat you down with it. But
it's about living as a family. One of the things that Raymond had said that I wanted to comment on was he talked about all the laws and ordinances. The Queen says, it saddens us that you have so many laws and ordinances, and because that's restriction, that's controlled by, unfortunately, we have to admit there are some negative beings that have been influencing the earth, and the Venusians have been protecting us against that as much as possible. And I think openly they're coming. This is the prelude that Raymond is sharing, that there's actual beings that look just like us. When I first interviewed her, and on my video, I don't know if you saw my interview with her, I was kind of giddy. I was like, oh my God, I'm actually getting to speak to one, and I was self-conscious, and I realized that they're just people. Mm-hmm. It was a learning lesson for me, another level of my development, and to realize all the pushback and the negative information and criticism I received. One of the Venusians was with me, and he said at I was trying to present these messages, and they were like, people don't get it in the UFO community that this was real. And he said, they're not ready yet, Rob. And I realized that, like Raymond, it doesn't matter. Time will reveal the truth. And I think that people are going to go through a great deal of changes with the knowledge that you provide, Michael, unmasking the kind of dark side. But it's not about silver spaceships or space suits. It's about love. It's about community. It's about family. And we have to get out of this adolescent distraction of materialism and the beastly nature of human consciousness and apply it in our society and transform our world, not from big buildings of separation, but perhaps in smaller communities, more harmonious with the natural life on Earth. And that's a transformation that's coming forward as we move.
That's beautiful. So Raymond, let's talk a little bit, and you don't have to, share as much as you want for right now, because like I said, I think we're going to be doing more of this. Talk a little bit of how you went to Venus and, how that transpired and a little bit about that.
Okay. Yes, well, Rob was at the beginning there explaining exactly how the arrangements were made to get there. And this is the first time that I'm sharing this with anybody, but because I really respect you as a fellow veteran, and thank you very much for your service.
Thank you for yours. Thank you.
I want to share this. This is now back in 1954. There was a interplanetary spacecraft convention that was held at the first one.
Oh, cuz here we go.
A giant rock. Okay.
So let me give a little thing on this. Now, Raymond is on Venus now for almost 2.5 months. And what happens, that picture is the Queen of Venus. Now, this is going to blow people's minds. It's in his 3rd book, Cosmic Ray's Excellent Adventure. So he's been reticent to share this image, but it's time now. So what happened was, on the last day, he was able, where I left off when he got there, he asked to view the Akashic records. There was a little bit of hubbub with the Time Temple guys, but the Ascended Master Amoria and the Queen said, let him have access. So he looked at his past lives, and he realized his first life on Earth was as the poet scribe Publicus Virgil Moro. He was encountering, or the poet Virgil as we may know him, and he was writing stories about his meetings with a lover of his eventually named Lady Ankara, who had actually revealed to him that he had come from Venus. And so at the end of these kind of experiences where he got all of his research and was looking into a lot of amazing things, she says, hey, Kaj, you want to go do a time travel with me and into the past? And he says, sure. So they get on Venus, and if you look behind Raymond there, that image, and I'll bring it up here in a second, but what happened is she's actually holding the Nimbus. She's holding the Nimbus in the 1954 picture. So I'm going to let Raymond talk about his time travel experience. They were bilocated. Bilocation's a big deal with these extraterrestrials. They can project, and you can see them. So they were bilocated in the Time Temple, and it has to go to absolute zero. That's why they're wearing black in the image behind him. But they were looking in 1954. She allowed Raymond to pilot the craft, and she said, take it down to 1,000 feet. And Raymond goes, okay. So he takes it down. She goes, uh-oh, move it up to 2,000. He goes, what do you mean, uh-oh? She goes, I forgot there were nuclear experiments at this time, and the radiation could interfere with the tachyon drive. As she said that, the ship started to smoke and break apart. He was time traveling from 2013. So people want to learn about timelines and changing them and how this works. This is something that Raymond can talk about firsthand, because what happened.
Rob, I want to stop you at that point, because I want to read something from this article from the April 5th Daily News from Los Angeles, California. I'm going to read you about the explosion.
Okay, and I just want to say,
all documented here. Also, the appearance of myself and the,
there we go. Okay,
and the Queen at the site. So it's in this old newspaper article, which was published 2 days after the explosion at Giant Rock.
So Raymond traveled back to the past and crash landed, is what happened because of the disruption of the signal.
And so in my book, in the Cosmic Rays Excellent Venus Adventure, you can get all the details and the documentation from the files of Truman Bethlehem about the atomic explosions that were taking place about a week before and 2 weeks after. So what you had, because of that localization in the space-time continuum, were tachyons moving backwards and forwards in space. So as we went to observe the spacecraft convention, we were caught up in the crossover, and that's what disabled the time shift. So this is the article, and you see Mrs. Viola Schmidt there. She is one of the attendees, and she's got kind of a expression on her face, because she's saying, what the heck was that? And so this is what it says. A giant fireball exploded over the world's first interplanetary spacecraft convention here last night, and threw 2,500 wild-eyed saucerites into an uproar. At 14 minutes to midnight, that was on the 3rd of April, an object the size of a full moon and the color of an orange blazed brilliantly for 2 full seconds and then disappeared. There goes one, voices shrieked from scores of sleeping bags along the edge of Giant Rock Airport, run by George W. Van Tassel, the author of I Rode a Flying Saucer. That was the one I was telling you about in the beginning, that met Solganda, who told him how to build the Integratron, which is actually a functioning time machine and rejuvenation device. So then it says, seconds later, a distinct concussion echoed over the volcanic region, shaking car windows and awakening convention delegates inside who had slept through the big show. The phenomena was viewed by many as a sign that they were in the area and ready to land a giant 300-foot constellation saucer to take everybody for a ride to Venus. Others thought it was a star shell from the nearby Marine base, or maybe a weather balloon rigged with hydrogen and a time fuse as a gag. Well, there wasn't any photo of this, but it turned up later on in the archives of a New York attorney who had collected information all about it, and Otto Binder. And this is, Otto Binder was a science fiction writer and also a UFO author. He wrote hundreds of articles on UFOs and did a regular cartoon series syndicated in the newspapers about UFOs and flying saucers. And
guys, let me show the actual picture. This is the ship that was taken by people. The picture when Raymond time travel crashed, got lost in the future, and the Venusian woman that I met, Commander Aura Raines, was the one that got him back to the present. So that's a picture of an orb, or a nimbus as we call it, crashing.
Incredible.
Yeah, this is from my archives. This is the Otto Binder binder. And so I have in here all of the articles that he ever wrote about flying saucers. These are all from the pages of Saga magazine that he was a regular correspondent for. And
he also created Supergirl comic as a result of this, and the description of Supergirl's traveling thing is based on this time travel. The people that took the picture that you see behind Raymond of the Queen of Venus actually were friends of Otto Binder, and Raymond and the Queen said, please do not tell them that we are people from outer space. She says, do not reveal this picture that you just took of us right after we crash landed on Earth. It's quite an amazing story. You'll have to read his book in there. But this is that's the picture of the Queen, and you'll notice in her hand, it's a little blurry, but that picture, she's holding a nimbus. And I'm going to show you another picture in a minute. But go ahead, Kozz.
Okay. Yes, in all my Venus books, I have photos I've never before seen of George Hunt Williamson, who was in attendance at the convention, the first convention, and also of the Queen and Aura Reigns and other Venusians. So check out my book. It's all there. And I was on this other program, and some people had a criticism because they said, well, I was plugging my book, but I was reading a letter from an early contactee, Calvin Gervin, and I have his original letter in my file, and he wrote a book about flying saucers. And he said, if I built you a house, or I did completed a project or something for you, isn't the labor worthy of his hire? And it takes time to research and document and put one of these books together. And I have to say for myself, in answer to those criticisms, is that I don't represent any cult or sect. I represent me, myself, and I. I don't tell anybody to give up their religion. I don't ask them for $10,000 to go out in the desert and but
see a UFO, yeah.
Yeah, but when people come to where I'm speaking, sometimes our cosmic friends will show up. It doesn't cost them anything. I go to a lot of local UFO groups, and there was a small gathering in Pennsylvania when the three Venusians beamed down into the woods and started walking among everybody. So
and these are those women. The woman on the left, he's written a book about, and the woman on the right was from India. They knew each other. So the third Venusian actually drove up, and that was the security chief that I met. This was in 2017. Raymond had a heart attack in 2015 after he returned. And these women came down to congratulate him on the release of his first 2 books. And the woman on the left handed him a transcript.
Wow. So Raymond, the information in your book, so when I know you guys are going to want to buy these books, and you guys are asking already in the chat. So we're going to put the information down in the description box, but your books are packed with information, with pictures, and just like you were just showing right now, throughout this, throughout last hour that we've been talking. It seems like 2 minutes to me, but because I'm just fascinated. But you have tons of information. You have definitely done the research, and you're putting it in your books. it's fascinating that you did the time traveling and you have that information. It's just, I mean, when people see this information, they're going to be blown away. Like I was blown away by when I started reading your books. I was like, oh my God, it's incredible. So can you give us a little bit more about what life is like on Venus?
Oh yeah, yes.
Hey, can I real quick? I wanted to just share Raymond's books are here on my website, and you can get them on the website here, and it's under the book section in shop. But those are for people who live in America. If you really want, you can buy them on Amazon. But if you buy them, Raymond has given us a cute little beast, a bumper sticker. It says, "My other car is a Venusian scout ship," with a picture of a spaceship. So if you buy one from me, those are included while supplies last.
Nice. So what's your website, Rob? So just put that out there real quick.
It'll be in the chat. It's called thepromiserevealed with UAT at the end.com. And it's under books. And also, actually, let me show real quick here. I think I could.
Yeah, we'll definitely put all this stuff in the description so people will be, able to have access to it after the show.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess I'll let you get. Well, let me just see here. I can share that. Let's see. Are we sharing the website here? Because over here, I'm going to share the Eventbrite. It's up. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Jaco is going to be headlining along with Raymond Keller. The Mount Shasta Summer Conference is up for looking. We do have an early bird special that has a long way to go. But you can meet Raymond here August 27th. And this little banner is going to be actually developed into a nice banner by Michael Jaco's stepson. So it's an exciting thing there. So go ahead, Paz. I'm sorry. I'll shut up for the rest of the program.
No, that's fine. You jump in. That's good. We'll go another half hour and cover a little bit more, and then we'll talk later. When we could do another show. So we have a big audience right now. So everybody's fascinated. Everybody's calling their friends in. So let's dive in a little bit further.
Oh well, this is awesome. I'm really thankful, Mr. Jaco, for the opportunity to be here and share this.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for
share
coming.
this information. A lot of people think it's
first time ever. So you guys are hearing some of this first time ever. It's never been shared before.
I'm always thankful for such opportunities. Some people think it's woo-woo, and I guess that's okay. But it is, even if they think it is that, it's enlightening. And it's entertaining, if nothing else. And everything that I write, I footnote and I document. I could prove it with newspaper clippings. Let me read this last section here on this one article, because it does say here about the Queen's visit, and it says, in the cool of the evening before the convention got started, Van Tassel told how he gets together with a group of believers and concentrates singing "Get in the Beam," which seems to attract saucer pilots. That was from a Methodist hymnal, but the fact that it had beam, it was, like meant sunbeam originally, but they were talking about like a saucer beam. But then it said, that's because we act like a generator, developing telepathic powers, raised to the power of the number of people there. Then the word got out that somewhere around Giant Rock was, quote, a real girl from Venus, end quote, accompanied by an elderly gentleman. When they did appear, it turned out to be Miss Dolores Barrios of Venice, not Venus, but pretty though. Yeah, that was from the local newspaper article. So she was really there, and various people have posted on various sites, including one critic in the Amazon book review for said they didn't believe that, but that there is the newspaper article. So, you know, I just stand on that.
And also, you can stand on the image right behind his head there. When he talks, you can see her standing with him, the elderly gentleman, on the front page of Cosmic Ray's Excellent Adventure. What is taking place here, Michael, is this is kind of like the real disclosure. It's coming through the extraterrestrials themselves eventually. That is what's really going to happen. The government will never, ever tell. It's going to happen through contactees like Raymond and through many, many other contactees who are having real experiences. But the physical contacts have to be you know, kind of secretive for now. But this is an amazing story. If you look behind him when Raymond talks again, you're going to be able to see her and him in 2013 in our timeline, but a picture taken by the couple that landed, that saw them land and hid them, gave them clothes, helped them burn the remains of the Nimbus. And when the authorities asked them, they said, "Oh, that was some kids from Caltech firing off fireworks."
Interesting. So Raymond, you're in New Zealand?
No, I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay. Somebody thought you were in New Zealand. So they're asking if you can get, or maybe they were just wondering if they could get the books in New Zealand.
Oh, yes, they're available there.
Okay.
They're available there through
Amazon. Amazon's where to go.
Through Amazon for international
Okay.
orders, and even here if it's more convenient.
Very good. So you won't have far to travel when we do the Mount Shasta conference. That's good.
Oh, yes. In answer to the question previously about life on Venus, it is the lead planet in a confederation of planets, and of that federation, there are 601 member worlds from 51 solar systems. And so there's always a coming and going of various beings, and of course in the book Lady Columba Venus Revelations, there's a beautiful drawing there by Annabelle Krebs, who was quite a recognized artist. She did the 𝗨𝙁 series and so forth that was published in newspapers in Latin America, in Mexico and Argentina, particularly. For the Venusians operate on the far side of the moon from a base called Clarion, and within the I don't know, Rob, if you have a picture of that available.
Oh, you mean the far side of the moon where you have all the lights where they decloaked for the picture?
For the meeting, the intergalactic
meeting. Oh, I'll pull that up. Okay.
With the Rob's going to pull up the picture. Excellent. And we'll look at some of the beings that come and go from Venus. And I didn't just pull that out of my hat. As a matter of fact, in this particular article, George Van Tassel spoke about it during the talk he gave right here, where he explains about our solar system. And let me read that. He says, "Our solar system is drifting through space into a segment of the universe chartered by the Adamics, or the extraterrestrials, who have organized a confederation of 51 solar systems and 601 planets. This makes them unhappy." Then it continues on the other page. But you can see that this isn't something that I just made up out of pure out of pure cloth or out of my fertile imagination. This is something which was revealed and has been on the earth for a long time. In fact, our government knew all about it in Project Sign, which was the pre-Project Blue Book Air Force investigation in 1948. In their report, revealed the existence of 22 extrasolar systems where flying saucers were coming from to visit the Earth, as well as, oh, okay, here's 𝗨𝙀𝗶𝗾𝗂 Venus revelations. Okay, what you're looking at on there is the process of when somebody is going to be resurrected, if they need them to continue their work on the physical plane. This is after Lady Columba's DNA had been taken while she was still alive before she died at the age of 96 in 1998. And then her consciousness was downloaded into a supercomputer, and where she was awoken on the backside was re-downloaded or replanted in her synapse construct, like a interactive construct in her brain, and was brought back to life. And there's a Venusian technician, a master healer on the moon-based Clarion.
So I want to preface this a little bit here, Kaz. So what this is what we're revealing is the process of ascension or translation. The Venusians, like many other races, have gleaned advanced technology from 18 million years ago called the 𝗲𝙗 technology, which was originally used by expansionist forces in the Aldebaran and Pleiadian system to actually genetically alter species. But in my book, they answer the question that actually this technology is used to expose the cells to certain aspects of the cell to specific types of radiation, which give you long life. I'm going to show that image now, Kaz. I'll bring that up here for people. So, so if you look at the picture, if you watch this video over again, folks, you're going to see the image of the Queen behind him. I flashed another picture we didn't talk about, but you notice her age doesn't change. So they do have a very long life, and it's not something to, like, get super obsessed about, or I'm going to live forever. It's about understanding the gifts of the last enemy to be conquered shall be death, to understand that we are immortal souls, and that in the heavenlies or in the higher dimensions that we're moving into, we can experience it. I'm looking for this picture.
That one picture that
as you guys are seeing, as he's streaming through all this information, that it is packed with amazing information. You guys are going to be such a treat when you read these books.
That one picture that he had passed by on the way to this one showed was for one of Dante's early works, which shows him meeting with the inhabitants of the moon, that it was colonized by, he reveals that it was colonized by angelic beings from other planets in the solar system. And then in the 3rd and 9th canto of Il Paradiso in the Divine Comedy, Dante describes a trip to Venus where he met with ascended masters and some very high and holy personages. So it's all real. Wow. It's all real. You check it out in your own history. Swedenborg, Tesla. I mean, as far back as you can go up to the present, there's been communications with Venusians on a very, very high level. Okay.
Now, I saw in your book the Venus Rising, where you talk about Lorenzo de Medici and Sandro Botticelli, their connection and how they're trying to bring out the information. It's fascinating. Have a connection as a past life with Lorenzo de Medici. So I knew that I was having connections in that lifetime with extraterrestrials. So that's fascinating. Now you're basically bringing that information forth. So it's connecting with stuff that I've known but didn't know how. So also you talk about rebuilding an alternate Earth in 𝗨𝙯. You want to talk just briefly about that? Maybe we got another 18 minutes or so, and then we'll kind of wrap it up a little bit. We're going to leave everybody super hungry for more, but we're definitely going to be back.
I want to share one thing. Kaz, why don't you explain the personages here and Lady Columba and how this picture was made? First,
okay. This is on board. This is on board a ship that can levitate from the back side of the moon, so it still remains cloaked from the Earth. It's called the Space Leviathan. It's a massive space platform, and this is where when extraterrestrials are in the vicinity of the Earth and they're making decisions about what they want to do and how they're going to carry out their missions, their ops plans. This is where it takes place. So we see in this picture, you see Commander Aura Rains, the commander of the moon base Clarion, to the immediate. That would be to the on the left side. And then you see that she standing next to her is an avian type creature, like a blue avian. Remember that this picture was drawn by Columba Krebs, Lady Columba, back in 1957, 1958, and this was long before the existence of such creatures was ever even known. So here you have a real vindication of it. Then in the far right, you see a Ganesha type being, and we see a lot of connections between the Hindu pantheon of deities with real extraterrestrials, and including when people live in conditions on the moon or artificially sustained environments, their complexion takes on a kind of blue hue. So when we look at these ancient gods in the pantheon of Hindu mythology, we may very well be looking at space colonizers on the moon from various Confederation worlds. So we see other beings there, and then we see Vorton as the first speaker. She was the escort to an initial space contact with Lady Columba, and Vorton is presiding over the meeting. And then we see also a hybridized bee creature on the left. So this is all this is all real. It's all documented, and I'm very happy to share this information. I did have open heart surgery at the Pittsburgh VA hospital, and I was while the operation was going on, I felt that my consciousness was lifted up to a ring of light high above the earth, and I couldn't see a floor or a ceiling or anything. It was very dizzy and just holding on to this ring of light. Then I met various aspects of myself from prior incarnations that kept changing the way they appeared, their clothing and everything, but the face and it was still the same. I was like a teenager, and it was my higher self, my oversoul, that offered me an opportunity to either go on to return to Venus from whence I came, or to go back to Earth and finish the Venus Rising series of books and revelations.
Oh, wow. Interesting. So, yeah, I think we're given, throughout our lives, actually, we might have mapped out leaving, but we're given the opportunity if we want to continue or not. And that's by choice. So I'm glad you decided to stay, because your information is unbelievable.
Thank you, Mr. J.K. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Michael, I think I just want to say this. I've been trying to get Raymond to talk like this for since I met him for about 5 years, because but he has so much knowledge, and I think that now is the time that this humble soul can share the truth of some of the higher metaphysical aspects. And we're all confused, and we're all trying to learn, but it's so cool that he's sharing the history. That woman is the book in Lady Colombo, Venus Revelation. She was there. And then I don't know if you want to do anything else, but I just want to thank you, Raymond, for, he probably got tired of me telling his stories all the time to trying to get him. He says, that's it. I'm glad he's doing it. So feel, I'm going to just shut it up now. He's on.
Well, Rob, it's not about, like you said, it's not about me. It's about it's about the message, and I don't represent anybody but myself. I'm not the only one that's in contact, or who has been in contact. There have been literally millions, as George Van Tassel described, but because of the circumstances of life and fate, I guess, and being a professor of history, and knowing how to research and document, I was so glad to have the opportunity to put the pieces together, because that's what I was born for.
You're just a cosmic postman delivering a message of hope and peace and truth about the reality of our infinite universe and the various life forms that are attempting to come here. And it's at this time, very soon, we'll be able to present much more valid evidence, and people can actually understand, and eventually they will be speaking to us directly, but we're being prepared for that now.
And people can
Raymond, what do you have, as for the last few minutes we have, and we still have, maybe about 10 more minutes if you guys are really
okay. Perhaps
so little share of what, maybe what's like might be coming. What do the Venetians say is coming?
Oh, yes. Yes, we're going through some tough times, to be sure. But Rob and I were assured personally that the pale horse has not yet ridden, and that we are the masters of our own fate, our own destiny. There's much that we have to do as a species to get together, and it begins in the human heart, one individual at a time, as our friend Rob was mentioning at the beginning of the program in the introduction. Don't think that you can't make a difference as an individual. And it's not so much a mass ascension, but it's an individual ascension. All my Venus books, I relate the stories of individuals like you, like me, like Mr. J.K., others, just living the life as best we can. And when we step up to that higher awareness and start living the dream, then we're in that higher reality. As soon as we start living the dream, we're in the higher reality, and that's the message of hope in these in these Venus books.
Beautiful.
So they don't really talk about the future because he doesn't go into the future.
Well, they do have a knowledge to answer the question before about the alternate Earths and so forth.
Mhm.
That's one of the main purposes of the Venusians here on Earth, is they've been there, done that kind of thing. So they're here to guide us the way. They come as avatars and teachers, and they operate behind the scenes. Sometimes we don't even know they're there, and but they are, and they care about us. And sometimes we call them angels, and so they've got our back. I just want you to know that. And yes, there's scary times in the future, but we're here to learn. We're here to navigate these situations, and to be there for one another, heal one another, and so forth. And I just hope that my books help to impart a little bit of that knowledge along the way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The love that that's coming through from the Venusians throughout time, really, throughout recorded history, is unbelievable. I mean, it's very there. It's been there for everyone to see, and they're trying to help us, but we have to find it ourselves. It's we go through these dark periods to learn from that, to overcome fear and to go to the love, which I always talk about. The other side of fear is love, and the Venusians have been teaching that for a long time.
And a few of the people along the way have left the earth. Of course, we know in the Bible about John the apostle, and it's granted immortality. Enoch walked with God, and then he was no more. And then his entire city, the city of Enoch, was literally lifted up to translated into the celestial realms. So it's not impossible that you may be among the elect chosen for that. I know that the Bible does talk about like 144,000. I don't know if that's a specific number, or just referring to a coming time of a more widespread ascension. But in our own time, of course, we have in my last chapter there of the Venus rising, I talk about 𝗨𝙗𝙗 and connections with her, Reverend Clayton Parker, and her ascension from Mount Shasta, her translation there, and so forth. So, and even the Queen, her history is in there, growing up in the Basque Country and being born in 1585, and for her journeys on the earth before her ascension to Venus, and all of her adventures. So it could happen to you.
I want to say one thing here. The Queen actually had her ascension from Mount Shasta too, but what I wanted to make the point, what Raymond said, is that the responsibility, and you said it, Michael, does lie with us. There are certain elements, until we reach a certain level of maturity to have the interactions, we must forge our own destiny. We can know and have faith that we're being guided and helped, but we must establish the love and the consciousness in our hearts to live the dream by changing our frequency. And that's what you do with your health in the optimized tribe. Is we can look at this negativity that we're seeing, but we must transform it one loving heart at a time. So I did want to say another thing. When he talks about the elect or the chosen, and we don't know everything, of course, and we're just interpreting, but I believe the chosen choose themselves. And it's by your unwillingness to do harm to others, and do unto others as you would have done unto you. Love God with all your heart, and it's real simple. It's not rocket scientists, and it's not about a cult or religion. We're all human souls, and we all have our mortal aspects to ourselves. And as we choose our personal frequency ascension, will transform this world.
Excellent, excellent. So you kind of led into the question that's in the chat, where someone's asking, if possible, please ask Raymond if he saw this now as being the time we'd be going through ascension all these years we'll be talking about ascension. Is this the now time for that?
Oh, yes. I think the process to that viewer, listener, I want them to know that the process is accelerating. The process was even taking place almost 1,000 years ago. The Sufi mystic Rumi had written about the presence of 4,000 angels on the earth that were harvesting souls for the celestial realms, and that process has been intensified, especially now as we have entered from the dawn of the nuclear and space age, and so they're very concerned, and this process of winnowing the wheat from the chaff has been an ongoing process. You know, every year in the United States, 230,000 people just disappear. That's from the FBI statistics. And I just wonder how many of them have gone on a one-way trip with our brothers and sisters from other planets. I write a lot about that in my books about individuals. There's one gentleman, Mr. Granger, up in Canada, and the unusual circumstances surrounding his disappearance. And this isn't as uncommon as you think. And where Rob lives out there in Mount Shasta, there are certain areas that are vortices, or they're doorways, gateways into other dimensions. And there are these certain beings, they're the kind of mantids, these very large mantids that guard these stargates. And occasionally they let people go in there. Mm-hmm. And sometimes if they read the heart of a worthy individual, they do get to go to a one-way trip, the highway to heaven.
Mm. So you believe that the Agarthans inside Mount Shasta are Venusian?
Well, the Agarthans are explained by Michael Barton in a lot of his works, and I have a lot of his original documents.
I'll say that in Telos here, there's descendants of Lemurians and Atlanteans. Lemuria primarily here. Their civilizations started small. They're up to about 1.5 million. And for those of you who are watching Michael J.K., I've arranged a meeting for a gentleman I know that will be at my conference, Lowell Johnson, who went inside, and Michael will be interviewing Lowell Johnson on that journey. You'll learn about their civilization, and there's many different groups. It's like Swiss cheese. They're generally small, but it's when we go into these other dimensions and stuff, it's really exciting that we're learning this now from people like Raymond.
That what I was showing you were the original papers from Michael X, his letters and communications with Mentar and Felicia of Venus, and I'm it's going to be appearing in my weekly column there on phantomsandmonsters.com with Lon Strickler out in Hanover, Pennsylvania. And it's free and no charge. So you check it out, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. It talks about the Riley Crabb revelations that I just did about the Borderland Sciences Research Associates. That's also with Lon Strickler's. It talks about the Agarthans. And yes, they are descendants of the Lemurians and the Atlanteans at Telos, the Lemurian city underneath Mount Shasta. And there were definitely Venus colonies in both of those continents, and a lot of interchange with Venus, some covert, some overt. And I write about that extensively from the papers and documentation from Albert Coe. He was a contactee back in the early 1920s, and he talks about all the connections of Venusians coming here and intermingling with the kings and priests of Atlantis and Lemuria, and the great war that took place between those two continents, some 12 to between 12,000 and 14,000 years BC.
Excellent, excellent. Those are my memories as well. So yeah, the Venusians, like we talk about, way back, Atlantis and Lemuria. So guys, it's been absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, we'll have Raymond's books down in the description box, and we'll have the links to the conference we're going to have in Mount Shasta coming up in the end of August. It's going to be one you don't want to miss. Get in early. Rob, you're having basically a special if you do early sign up, right?
Yeah, there's a little early bird. I did want to share with people real quick here that someone was saying, well, if they've really had beatings, why don't they show videos? So the amazing thing that I was very fortunate to receive was a interview with this Venusian, and they actually answered questions, and I did record it. Now, I do have it on my site. I do charge for it. It gets trashed quite a bit, so by a lot of people. So there's no comments, but it's a PDF file talking about how the meeting was arranged, the 8 of the 13 questions which they agreed to answer, and their view. A lot of people do have a reaction because they do mention the Bible. But and again, I don't want to make this all about selling books, but this information in Raymond's books, I definitely do promote and suggest.
Yeah,
but amazing stuff. So thank you so much for having us on here today. It's I'm very grateful to be here with you today, and Raymond, and thank you, Michael.
And for Rob to just to support him as I do this research on Michael Xavier Barton in the 1950s and his contacts. The Venusians told him too that to submit his questions, and that they would select the ones that they would answer, because of course for security reasons they can't answer all of them, because they have to respect our autonomy.
Fabulous. Guys, again, just absolutely phenomenal show. We've had a huge response, positive response in the chat. Over 4,000 people watching at one time. I'm sure this is probably going to get over 100,000 views, and your books are going to blow up, Raymond, I promise you. So until next time, guys, we'll definitely be doing another show with these guys. Just stay tuned. We'll let you guys know. But until next time, like the Venusians would say, stay in love.
Thank you, Mr. Jaco.
Thank you, Michael. Sorry, I had the screen share on. I didn't realize.